Hello everybody. Today's video we're going to talk about three main topics. One, how much did IVF cost us? Two, why we chose to do the PGS testing on our embryos, and how we ended up paying for the cycle of IVF. We'll start off with the most common one first, and that's just how much did IVF cost us. So I'll let you go ahead and take it from here.
Okay. So before IVF, we had to figure out why we weren't getting pregnant. So that led to our diagnostic testing. That just includes semen analysis.
Gotta test those swimmers.
Our ultrasounds, our blood work, our HSG, which it determines if your fallopian tubes are open or closed. All of that diagnostic testing cost about $3,000. And then that led to my diagnosis of hydrosalpinx and me needing my fallopian tubes removed. So that laparoscopy surgery cost us about $3,000. So before even entering IVF, we were already $6,000 that we had to pay out of pocket. And then we were trying to determine what doctor we wanted to go through. So each time we visited our IVF doctor, it was about $200 each time. We saw him twice, so that was about $400. And then our clinic wanted us to get a sexually transmitted disease screening, and for both of us combined, it was about $330. And then the hysteroscopy, that was something that our clinic wanted. I think a lot of IVF clinics want you to get that done. If you recall seeing my video of me crying in the car and I'm saying that I'm overwhelmed and all that stuff, that was in the very beginning. That was because I had gone in for an appointment by myself and they were saying I needed all these appointments, and all these appointments and tests were costing a lot of money. And the hysteroscopy was the one that I think made me break down because it was $2,500. This test is very similar to the HSG that I had done, and our doctor had the results for that. So after a lot of talking and going back and forth, we decided that...
And even talking with our doctor.
Yeah.
He said it wasn't medically necessary for
our situation.
So he said we can do it without.
Yes.
So we chose to do it without.
So we did not include that in our total, but that would be something that a lot of people have to get done. Another thing that we did not have to pay for was to store our embryos. In our situation, we only had one, which is obviously inside of me. But if we had more than one, we would have to pay a storage fee. And that was $800 a year, minus the first year, because the first year is free. Which just sounds weird to me, but yeah. So it'd be $800 if we had more than one embryo to store. So, then that leads us to our IVF cycle. So our clinic is different from probably many. So we had two options. One option was to pay for one cycle. That was $12,000. And then the second option was to pay $16,000, and that was for something that they called a shared risk. And that would be in 2 cycles included in that price. We were told right off the bat that we were going to get all these eggs and all these embryos, and we got that from the IVF doctor, told us that, our gynecologist, and I'm not blaming them by any means. I'm just saying.
They were very confident that we could get multiple healthy embryos for preservation for future years. And
we went back and forth. I mean, I cannot tell you how long we went back and forth. Should we do the 1 cycle? Should we do the 2?
Because if it worked, if we did pay for the 2 cycles and it was $16,000, but the first cycle worked, then you don't get your money back. That's why it's called the shared risk.
And you're already so overwhelmed with the finances.
Yeah, I mean, thousands and thousands and thousands just start stacking up on you. So we ended up choosing just the 1 cycle. Obviously, looking back on it, if we probably should have done it, but...
Yeah, well, that's easier said than done.
Right.
I think if we weren't told all that, we probably would have done the 16.
But that's the thing with IVF. Nothing is guaranteed.
No, nothing's guaranteed. You don't know anything.
Like we said, they were very confident we could have multiples and, embryos for future storage, and it didn't happen for us.
And each cycle includes the transfer. I know some IVF clinics, you have to pay an additional fee for the transfer, but ours was included in that. So we chose to do the $12,000, and then that led us to medications.
The medications are outrageously expensive, but with our clinic, they do a really nice job. They have a pretty much like a take-back program there where couples who have had successful or unsuccessful IVF cycles, they can actually bring the medications back to them to allow other couples who are about to begin their journey to have those medications.
And these people have their insurance basically paying for the medications anyways.
Yeah, I remember the one couple they brought in like a tote.
They had a whole bin.
It was like probably $20,000.
I told Ryan, I said, I want to be friends with her.
Yeah, it was
because
it was
that
crazy.
bin could go to us, like
or
the whole bin.
The whole bin probably was supplying.
Several people.
Yeah, 10 to 15.
Like the follisim, I swear I saw like 5 just through the bin. I was like, oh my gosh.
But anyways, so we were actually very grateful and our clinic was very generous in being able to provide about half would you say about half? Not even quite half.
No, they provided some medications, just they were the big, expensive medications.
Yeah, so we spent about $3,000 out of our own pocket for the medications, and we were given about $3,200 worth of medications. We returned $1,200 of that
because we
clinic.
Didn't need it. We didn't use it.
Correct. So the medication part, stacked up pretty significantly too.
Yeah,
but
it's expensive. It's very expensive.
Yeah, like I said, it all adds up. So then that kind of led to the anesthesia.
Yeah, so then for our egg retrieval, the egg retrieval is included in our cycle, but the anesthesia was not because it was done through somebody else. So that was $500. And then our PGS testing, a lot of clinics are so different. Ours, I think, is probably on the average side, but our PGS testing, each embryo was $400. And then to ship it off, it was $150 per embryo. So we had 3. So if you do the math, that's $1,800.
No, it's not.
What?
It's $1,200 plus $150 for shipping.
$150 per embryo.
Oh, oof, I forgot about that.
It's okay. So yeah, so $400 per embryo, $150. So basically $550 an embryo.
So with all that brought our grand total to be estimated right around $25,000, and that doesn't include every little medical expense for the cycle, but it's a pretty close ballpark right there, $25,000. Now each clinic is going to be different. Each couple going through IVF is going to be different. It may be less, it may be more.
This is just our.
It's our situation.
Our clinic, our situation. Yeah. Yep.
So second question is why we chose to do PGS testing, and for each couple it's going to be different, and this topic can be pretty controversial. Some people may not believe in it because of religious beliefs, and that is completely valid point. For us though, personally, we chose to do it, and we're very thankful that we did do it. Basically with PGS testing, you have your fertilized embryos and they get sent off to find out if they're chromosomally normal. We had 3 that were sent off. 2 of them were abnormal. I could not imagine trying to just not do the testing, and then what if 2 of those one of them got implanted into her and failed? It would have failed. And then another one got put into her and it would have failed. That would have been not only financial burden, but that would also be very much of heartbreak and devastation, knowing that you
went through an entire full cycle,
right,
and it didn't work.
And sometimes these chromosomes, they don't cause a miscarriage right away. They can go weeks into a pregnancy and then finally fail. So just knowing that kind of gives me kind of goosebumps. So we're very thankful that we have that option, and we chose to do that because obviously we had a 33% chance if we want to do 1 out of 3. But
and for us, the embryo that's put inside me right now, that was the 4AA grade one. So that more than likely would have been put in first anyways. So okay, great. But we
would have been paying money then for storage of 2 embryos that would never have worked.
Right. And that's the point. We would have said, oh, well, that's great, we still have 2 more. But I would not, for me personally, I would not have felt like a great security with that because if they weren't PGS tested. But yeah, we would have probably done another cycle, which we would have had to pay a full cycle once again, assuming that it would work, especially if this time it worked. And yeah, that it just more than likely would not have taken, or it would have taken and it would have resulted in a miscarriage. So we have no regrets with PGS testing. Again, everyone has different views on that, but
and those views are valid.
Yep, they're valid. Some people feel like if they get 5 embryos, they need to put in all 5. and that's fine.
So that's definitely one benefit.
We were just
of the
trying to be
PGS testing.
cautious of our feelings.
Oh yeah. Another
emotions.
benefit too is you're able to know what the gender is. We had one boy and one girl. Those were two had failed.
Those are the abnormal.
We chose to not find out what this one is.
We have the
which
sheet
discussed.
right here.
Right, it's right
it's
there.
Just
it's
white
whited
out.
Yeah, it's whited out. So that one's going to be a surprise here in the next month or
Which
two.
we talked about in our gender video, the last video we just did.
There are other benefits to PGS testing. You go ahead and...
Yeah, so I would say just if you're going back and forth on it, I mean, for a little while we were going back and forth on it, but then realized more pros than cons for us. Just talk to your doctor about it, and I'm sure he could give you the facts and information about it. So hope that helps you.
Yep.
And then that led us to our third video of how did we pay for IVF. So about 4 years ago, Ryan and I started a savings account. Specifically, it was named Baby. We had no idea when we were going to start trying for a baby at that time, but we knew that it was coming at some point, and so we thought, well, let's just save now because babies are expensive, and that will be helpful, you know, when the time comes. So we were always putting money in there within the last 4 years. Little did we know that we would not be using that baby account for the actual baby. It would be to get a baby. So we literally drained that account. We also drained another savings account to pay for IVF. Do you want to add to that, or?
No, I mean, it's a tough pill to swallow when you see that, you know, you've been saving the last 4 years, and
very hard.
There it goes, just within a blink of an eye. For what you thought was going to be possible, you know, college fund or you know, preschool, daycare, whatever it may be. Now it's gone. You gotta get the baby first before you can have any of that. So.
We drained our savings accounts, and then we became, I mean, I've always been a frugal person to begin with, but I really hammered down on him, like, we need to be frugal with things. So there were some things that we sacrificed, we took away. One of the things that Ryan and I, since we got married, we always like to travel together, and we completely put that on hold, which is totally fine because this is worth it in our opinion. We always say that we like to go on adventures, and I feel like this is just a different adventure. So we put that on hold, and then the last thing we did that we really have not shared, and I feel like people might wonder, like, well, why wouldn't you share this? This was a good thing, and it is. It's just we were just trying to keep some things to ourselves a little bit, but we realized that this is a good thing that we should share, and it would be a great resource for those going through IVF. That is that we applied for a infertility grant. The infertility grant that we applied for is called Angels of Hope, and they're in our area. We fit the criteria. So they consist of 2 counties. So we fit that criteria as living in one of those counties. And all the other criteria, it was you had to be married, you couldn't have any kids to begin with. I don't know, you had your income.
Financially stable. And you had to give up a lot of personal information to them.
Yes. This was not like a one-sheet thing. I mean, so our situation, I remember this.
I did not want to do it. I was so against it just because I didn't know anything about it, to be honest.
Was against it, and I was like, this could help us. And I remember we had 1 week because the deadline was coming up, and I had my surgery during that time, and we needed all these doctor's letters, and it was a very stressful time to get all this stuff together. And I even remember filling all of it out, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is a lot of work. And I even said, let's not do it. But thank goodness that we followed through on that, and we submitted it. And while we were on our last vacation that we've taken, we got
which was already paid for before we even found out.
Yes, we wanted to
keep for people to know. Too.
Yes, very important. This was booked last year before we knew anything.
Yeah.
And we considered canceling it, but there was no point because we wouldn't have gotten our money back.
Right.
So that was our last vacation, and we knew that was going to be our last vacation for a while. But it was great because we were in the hotel room, and I got a phone call. He was in the bathroom, and I saw that I had a voicemail, and I should have waited to
I heard
for
you
him
yelling,
to get
and I was
out.
like, gosh, I get out of here.
And I'm listening to the voicemail, and it's, hi, this is so-and-so from Angels of Hope, and I just want to let you know, you're the recipients for this grant. And I was like, get out of the bathroom, Ryan!
What just an awesome day.
It was really cool.
At that particular moment in time, that was just amazing. That was, after bad news after bad news after
Yes.
bad news, to finally have some good news with IVF, it was just a huge relief off of our shoulders, and to know that there was a good chunk of money that was going to be, given to us to assist us with this journey was just immense.
And I remember calling her back, and I remember her saying that, because I said, was there any other recipients? Because they do a golf outing to earn money, to raise money, and then just donations basically is how they raise enough to give out these grants. But I just assumed that there would be like other couples, and I remember her saying that we were the only ones who qualified and got this grant. And I probably gonna start crying, so take over.
Well, yeah, we were the only ones that received the grant at that particular moment. So
It was such a cool feeling.
Yeah, we were just so grateful. And what is real cool about the whole situation too with Angels of Hope was, backing up just a little bit, was Jessica she joined a church.
Oh, let me tell that story.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Just let me calm down.
Sorry, babe.
What was really cool about how this all happened was we go to a church and we love it. And we always get emails from the church, or I always was getting emails from the church. And it was always saying, we have this Bible study coming up, you should join it. And, I always was like, no, like that doesn't really, I didn't get anything. I didn't feel like a connection to do it. Well, I got this one email, and I was reading the description of what the study was, and I was like, oh, this sounds good. So joined the study with a friend and my cousin, and, it was a good time. And I met this lady that I didn't know, and she, because I had shared my story about, infertility and IVF, and she was telling me how her friend applied for Angels of Hope, and she got this grant. And so I looked more into it, and that's how I heard of Angels of Hope. And this is a great story because, again, like if I didn't go to this church, if I didn't go to this particular study, if I didn't sit at this particular table that I chose to sit at,
and sit down with that particular person who knew about this,
I would never have.
We probably would never have
heard about it or had that push. And the fact that her friend received the grant was like, oh, so I am forever grateful for my church and for the study group that I was in, and that woman who told me about Angels of Hope. So it's just a really cool all-around story. The amount that we received was not a full cycle paid for, but it was a good amount to help us.
Yeah.
And we are forever grateful for Angels of Hope. And so that led us to wanting to just, obviously we've shared their name, but I'm going to, if you would like to donate to them, that would be amazing. Whatever you can. I'm going to I will put their link in the description below, and I will kind of show some screenshots of how to donate. It's very simple. Once you go to the website, there's a pink donate box, and just click on it, put in the type of amount that you would want, and then you just got to fill out a few information, your name and all that stuff, and then just submit it, and it's done. And you're helping so many people like us who needed that money, desperately needed that money. And so that would be amazing. And I ask that if you do decide to donate to Angels of Hope, if you would, when you write your name, maybe in parentheses, if you would just put Ryan and Jess or Ryan and Jessica, so that they know that, the donation came from somebody from YouTube. We kind of wanted to keep track of that. But that would be amazing if you could donate and help, a couple like us.
Any amount would be helpful too.
So we just wanted to put their name out there because they have meant so much to us.
Yeah, we're trying to, this has completely changed my life, and I would like to try to give back to the IVF community any way I possibly can.
We do want to do that. And we've always said that since this has happened to us. It's probably not going to be in the next year or 2 years, but down the road,
we're going to figure it out.
Something's going to come to us, and we want to give back specifically to another couple.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
whether the couple's on YouTube or anywhere else,
anybody.
We're going to figure it out. This has really pulled on my heartstrings. So.
Yes, this is our passion. So that is that, and I hope that was helpful for you. And if you have any further questions, please ask me on YouTube, and I will try to respond to you. And if you have any questions about donating to Angels of Hope, again, the link will be in the description below. And if you have any questions, just let us know.
Yep.